The time is now 7 p.m. on August the 30th, 2022, and this regular meeting of the El Campo Independent School District Board of Trustees is called to order. Let the record show that this meeting was duly posted in accordance with Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code with regards to posting notice of public meetings and that there is a quorum of members present. At this time, will you rise for opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Let's pray. Lord, thank you for letting us come together at our regular meeting this month to debate the important business of the school district. We appreciate everyone who's come and we pray for their safe travels to and from. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we could have the boys come over from the volleyball game and sing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Public comment. At regular meetings, the board shall allow 15 minutes to hear persons who desire to make comments to the board that are not related to items that are on the agenda at the regular meeting. Has anyone signed up for public comment? Public testimony. The board shall allot an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding an item on the agenda for any open meeting of the board before or during the board's consideration of that agenda item, provided the requirement of written notice are met. Has anybody signed up for that? Okay, so that'll take us to our favorite part of every meeting, recognition.
We do have some great recognitions this evening, and to introduce our first individual, I would like to call on Sandy Fellish, principal of El Campo Middle School. So Sandy, will you step forward, please?
Sure. Which one are we doing?
The A, TASSP.
Okay, so we would like to recognize our assistant principal at one of our assistant principals at the middle school. I'm here also as not only as the El Campo Middle School principal, but also as the Region 3 TASSP coordinator. So I'm going to present Samantha Wortham. The honor that you can start moving forward. The honor that she is receiving is she is the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals Region 3 Assistant Principal of the Year for 2022-23. She will be recognized at Jostens Night of the Stars in June of 23 in Austin. And there she'll receive a plaque. So we're really excited to be able to honor her this year. And she was interviewed yesterday by the news, so she'll be front page news tomorrow. So the middle school is extremely proud.
He said he was wanting to stand up so the volume could come from his diaphragm. So he's asked you to say a few words. You can't walk away. I'm sorry, but that's the way it goes.
And the boss said so.
If you would stop talking, I could get started. But I'm really proud to be here, and I'm honored that I was selected for this. And it's such a positive opportunity to bring back to our campus, and I just feel like I get the opportunity to represent our team, and it means a lot to me, and I hope that I can continue to serve y'all well. I also will try my best to train Mr. Bohannon, but
We'll work on his inside.
Well, and I think it's notable that Sandy at least recognized the individuals from the middle school who showed up for two reasons tonight. Number one, to recognize a student, but I also think to be here in support of Sam. So why don't you recognize your staff that is here, because they've worked extremely hard.
Yes, they have, and it's so cool that they would show out tonight to support our presentation. So we have Mr. Ohanan in the back. Miss Murta is here. you know, I'm still learning names, so you'll give me just a minute. Don't say it. Don't say it. It'll come to me in a minute. Not to Miss Perry, but Miss, oh man, it came to me and went.
Susie Gaines.
Miss Gaines, Miss Perry, Miss Sabino in the back, of course, there's Sam there, Miss Beechwood over here, and Miss Guthrie, who's gonna be presenting in just a second some students. And then, did I miss anybody?
That's it.
I did miss anybody. I'm stuck in, Miss Labate right there.
1300 was fast.
And, so that's, yeah, I'm very, very pleased at the show of support for everybody that's being presented, not from the middle school. But the middle school campus as a whole, when we made this announcement actually during in-service, we made the announcement, I thought that Ms. Wortham had already received the email. And I think that she had in the end, right? We decided you had, but you hadn't yet. Okay, well, I thought she had received it because I received the email saying that she had been notified. And so I thought, okay, it was safe. And so I announced it to the whole group. And I wish we'd had cameras because like she didn't know. So like her face and their face, and it was just so, so genuine, their support of Ms. Wortham, and just both sides felt very honored. So I'm very proud she can represent the middle school.
And Miss Martin, I want you to know that someone else has also given it away that they didn't watch Ricebird News. Just so you know.
Thank you. I'm not on that boat.
You aren't alone. If you didn't watch Ricebird News, then Miss Wortham got the opportunity to share with the Ricebird News audience, which is obviously not anyone in here, she gave that story as a heartwarming story about how she found out that she received this honor and this recognition. So.
Okay, next one.
Yes, ma'am. Now you've got the Technology Student Association.
Yes, the Technology Student Association, the TSA. The sponsor for that is Miss Holly Guthrie. And she had the opportunity this summer to take 2 of our students who had advanced to the state level. I'm going to let her give the details of kind of what their thing was. She's going to introduce the student, and then our student is going to give you a little demo. Little explanation. Maybe I shouldn't say no. Little explanation.
So, Aliska Shambera and Michelle Villanueva both competed together at regionals, went on to state, and placed, did you place 3rd in state? I'm sorry, I don't track all the details. And then went on to nationals, and this is our first time that we went to nationals and we made the stage. So we made top 10 with their project. This is a construction challenge. So take it away, tell them about what you did and how you came up with this idea.
So,
Michelle,
Michelle was right here.
Or can you put it on the, up here?
I could try.
There you go. Put it where it is.
I didn't want to start it up or anything because I don't know if it'll break anyone's ankles. So, but so our idea was that the streets aren't safe enough. So then we got a robot that'll it'll have a radar and then sense a car, measure its speed, and measure how much time you have to actually cross the road. And so yeah, we just took it to state. Got 3rd. went to nationals. Somehow got semifinals, and then somehow got on the stage. And Michelle was right here. She was supposed to help me, you know.
Unfortunately, Michelle could not be here tonight.
And that's
her
all
mother is
made-
expecting at any moment,
Oh,
so
wow.
she didn't really feel comfortable leaving mom. So
That's all made from scratch,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Right,
for Michelle. Okay.
that's pretty awesome, because those wheels look like.
They are peanut jars.
I
My
was
mom
gonna
was not
say.
happy, but I took her lids to
Oh, before you go, you gotta, you can hold that, but you have to get a picture with Mr. Russell
right.
as he hands you your certificate.
Yep.
Congratulations. Good job. Way to-
Running, then it might not.
I think you should take it with her actually
Could we
holding
get
her.
a could we get a demo of
Yeah, yeah. How about just holding it or whatever?
And not only that, she may be on Ricebird News this week, so
So Alyssa's
it's okay,
dad
no
was-
one else.
Never miss that again.
They do, I just
Never miss it again. No, we're scarred for life.
So Alyssa's dad was kind enough to be here tonight, so I'd like to recognize John Chambera being here tonight, and the support that we have from our parents.
If anybody's interested, we need a sponsor for next year.
Yeah,
This year,
not at
actually.
the middle school, okay, I'm not going
At the
anywhere.
high school.
But the high school is in need of a sponsor for TSA. So,
Can you put that on Rice for News?
Yes, I can. I certainly can. Our editor-in-chief is right over there, so she just made note of it. Be careful.
It's kind of connected, but yeah, just like that.
Good job.
Congratulations. Good job. Computer.
Don't forget your certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We're proud of you.
Can you move, please? Please. He's trying to.
Alicia, you are next.
All right, so I get the opportunity or the honor to, Ms. Corral, come on up. As most of you have already heard, Northside was an A campus this year, so we are. After COVID, that's just a huge, huge achievement. Some of the highlights that I felt were just huge were going from 21 to 22, like her approaches level, her meets level went from 43% to 53%. Her master's level went from 24% to 29, and that's a lot. It's a lot. They got 4 out of 6 distinctions, so that's very recognizable. But the main thing that I thought was the best was in 2019, Domain 3 has a bunch of indicators in it. And they had gotten a C that year. But this year they hit every indicator, and there was 44 of them.
Wow.
They met every target, and they got 100, so they got an A in that area. So that's awesome. So congratulations, Rebecca.
Well, it was not me, it was the teachers and staff at Northside, and I'm very encouraged and hopeful that we can maintain the A and make our boss proud.
Thank you.
Well, a funny little story, Alicia and Tana and I set up meetings with all of the principals. And so the first campus we went to was Northside, and Rebecca was as nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof. Man, she was like, she didn't know what to do. She sat down and I said, well, Rebecca, there's sometimes, you know, you have to come and break the news about scores in person because it just, you don't want to tell news like this through an email or over the phone. And then I said, and this is not one of those times. So
That's awesome.
I think all the people outside thought I was yelling at her. So, and then Valerie's put a picture of all the teachers on their campus with their A's. So if you haven't seen our new website that Valerie's worked on, you might take a glimpse at it. And congratulations, Rebecca and Northside.
Yes.
thank you.
Great job.
End on positive.
Yeah.
The rest of the meeting's gonna be positive.
We might, some of that might be up to you. All right, that'll take us to item number 4. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. Includes items of a routine and/or reoccurring nature grouped together under one action item. Board members have been furnished with background material for each of the items listed as part of the consent agenda. Unless a board member requests that an item be withdrawn for individual consideration, the items are acted on by one vote without separate discussion. Actions on items withdrawn for individual consideration are acted on separately with separate motions and votes for each item. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone would like to remove? If no, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make it.
I have a motion by Ms. Smith and a second by Mr. Dorset. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously with Mr. Irwin absent.
Well, board members, now we'll head into our presentation items, and we have several of them. And what we would like to do is start with item 5B1, which is an update on our campus safety initiatives, and that's Mr. Wells.
All right, stand up, what do I do?
You good right there?
Yeah, I'm not used to talking in front of people.
Oh, you never do that.
Did you just say that?
Lord have mercy.
Unless people gather and then you start standing up and talking in front of them?
First of all, thank you guys for all of the continued support and blessing us to be able to have the safety initiatives that we have in place. I'd like to say that we've already completed our door audit. The state has asked every school district in the state of Texas to do a door audit. And they want us to go around and check doors, make sure all the doors work, make sure that the locks are functioning properly. But that is going to be an ongoing task in our district. And it's going to take every teacher, every custodian, every staff member to continue to pay attention to doors and letting us know if we have a faulty door so that we can get those things replaced as soon as possible. Because that is one of the initiatives. Also, Mr. Callahan talked to me today about something that has just been brought about with the state, setting aside some money for alarms and things of that nature for campuses across the state of Texas. We've also completed our school safety center audit to basically, survey to talk about all of the practices that we actually have in place, security measures that every school in the state of Texas had to submit. So last week what they did is they sent another email to Mr. Callahan saying that this is the second notice. Well, every school district in the state of Texas got that, saying that it was that they were getting their second notice. It wasn't actually due until September the 9th, but because of the size and the scope of school safety right now, it was a big concern, and the school safety center is in the process of trying to find more manpower to be able to ensure that they can handle the task that the governor has placed on them. We are actually at the high school completing our safety film. It is a 13 mil film, which is a super thick film. Most places went as much as 8 mil. Ours is almost twice that because we went 13 mil. The 13 mil film, if you go to any of the campuses and you see any of the bubbling on the windows, it does take about 30 days for that to actually dry out. The reason being is because we're putting that on the interior. So say for instance, when you get your windows tinted, they tell you, hey, don't roll them down for 2 or 3 days, and that's actually direct exposure to the sun. And these windows are not, a lot of them aren't directly exposed to the sun, they're on inside glasses, so it's gonna take a lot more time for those to actually dry and for everything to get nice and new. We have asked the
High school goes first and then the other campuses will follow, is that how that?
on the safety film?
Yes.
No, every elementary school is
It's done?
It's
Oh, okay.
complete.
So
I
the
think
high
middle
school,
school is complete,
Okay.
you're complete,
The bubbles have already gone away.
on the side, okay, you're complete, High school is the last one, and then we'll be complete with that. Also, VCS, just about all of our equipment is in. The equipment is in, but some of the wiring pieces aren't. So,
VCS,
Victoria Communications.
gotcha, okay.
So all of our equipment, the stuff that we actually need is in, but some of the wiring for like the panic buttons, go ahead.
Panic buttons, extra cameras, and
So we have,
entry, is that what we're talking about?
yes, we got A-phone entries. So we have A-phone entries, we have door sensors, we have panic alarms. And also the thing about the panic alarms is another thing that we're going to be doing, because we're also talking about a phone system, our phone system, because every classroom, it's going to be law that every classroom has access to a direct panic button or a direct line to law enforcement. Okay, that's going to be something that everybody's gonna have to do.
On some of our campuses, aren't there phones in the classroom?
So we have phones right now, we have
Every classroom,
every classroom.
even at the high school?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, that was, I didn't know that.
Did I hear,
Yes.
did I hear you say that's gonna become a law?
that's a mandate. That's gonna be mandated, that every campus, every room, everybody has a way to hit an alarm and so what has happened is, so like we have VoIP phones, voice over
Yes.
IP phones.
Yes.
So we'll be able to, on our system or an updated system, we'll be able to like, we have one-touch dialing. We can code one of those buttons as red, and that can be a 911 call. So it's real easy for us to be able to accommodate that system, but it will definitely be able, we'll definitely be able to accommodate that system with some of the stuff we're looking at in our new phone system.
Is the VCS part of their contract, is that the magnetic door locks?
So they're gonna have the magnetic door locks, they'll have the door sensors.
Okay.
They're doing everything from
Okay,
vape
I didn't
detectors.
I didn't know what all they were doing.
Yes, they're doing the whole kit and caboodle.
Gotcha, okay.
They're all,
Except for cameras. Remember, we wanna keep
yeah,
cameras
cameras are separate. Yeah, cameras are
Those are
separate.
gonna take somewhere between 90 to 120 days to get cameras in.
Well, that's just to get the product.
Yes.
And then and so cameras are a whole different animal because of the wiring that goes with cameras. And a lot of people think that you can just go, like, they will install wireless cameras, but they really like them to be hardwired, okay?
Gotcha.
So, the turnstile gate, that we're gonna be putting in at the stadium, to replace the current situation that we have there, is actually getting ready to go to powder coating. So then, that's gonna be another few weeks out for us to get that actually installed. And then, the final thing I'm gonna talk about on school safety is the Guardian program. So I've been doing some research.
Before you get to the Guardian program, can you just basically tell the board about the foyers and the foyer
The foyer
fortification,
okay.
and then the Avenue I and the middle school?
Okay, so the foyer fortification is the A-phone system, okay? So what the A-phone system will actually do is it will create an entrance, so we're gonna have a blocked entrance, okay? And so everybody's gonna only be able to enter into the main point of the campus by a button. So we'll have them on a screen, we'll have an opportunity to see them walking up, so like in the middle school, I have a monitor up there, they'll be able to see them walking up, and they'll be able to push the button and allow them to come in, okay? So,
And you're adding a foyer at the high school, which is the only
Correct.
campus that doesn't have one.
if you'd like to make a call,
I hate that Walgreens.
so at the high school, we're going to have to create the foyer fortification. And when you come into the main office, we're going to we're gonna build a barrier, a perimeter, that's gonna go across the front where that open desk is right now. And it's gonna go around, it's gonna connect to that wall. And it'll be glass, and then there'll be a door that they'll have to actually push a button to access through that door as well. But also on the front of the high school will be A-phone entrance. So when they come up to the tinted window doors, those doors they will have to be allowed to come in by a push button.
As one of the top initiatives that we undertook this year was reduction in the point of entry to every single campus. How has that been globally in our district? Has it created any turmoil, or is it hard to break people in, or?
It hasn't been hard to break, well, it's not hard to break them in when you take the stuff off.
I mean, you can't open the doors, yeah.
When you take the hardware off, so it kind of channels everybody. And I had a conversation with the principal today, talking about, entrances and some workarounds. But we're still, point of entry is the main thing. We are going to, that's gonna be another thing that we're going to all have to deal with, because the state wants limited points of entry. They really want you to have one or two. If you have a building with our concept, like the concept that we currently have,
The high school?
at the high school. Well, the current, if we did not have the fencing up, we would have this year been forced to some sort of a way to create a perimeter to run people to a one point of entry.
Gotcha.
So that's where we are with that.
Okay.
Brick walls?
Brick walls. The brick walls that we're going to actually be putting up, so you know at Hutchins, what's Avenue? I. On Avenue I, what's the street that intersects into that building?
Roberts?
Roberts. So if somebody were coming down Roberts Street and they were driving at a high rate of speed like they were when they landed on top of Miss Whitley's house,
Yeah.
it would have caused great harm for possibly kids if they were in school or just the building. So we're going to actually have a wall up right there. It's gonna be a false wall. When I say a false wall, it's not gonna be a part of the building. So it's going to also, it's gonna act as a barrier to oncoming traffic, but it's also going to act as a barrier to vision. So we're gonna take those kids out of clear vision of anybody that's just driving up and down the street. We're also, I thought you wanted to answer. No, you didn't strike me. I just didn't know if you wanted to answer. Are you good? Okay. So we're gonna do that, and also we're going to work on doing some stuff on the other side to limit points of entry for their gym on the, what side is that? What did you call it?
The west side?
The west side, yes. So we're gonna do some more stuff at Hutchins.
Middle school?
Middle school, we're gonna cover up the cafeteria, okay? You're gonna have some gates, some cleanout gates. The reason we're gonna have those cleanout gates is because it's middle school, and I can promise you, there's gonna be trash behind that wall, okay? So we're gonna have cleanout gates for our custodians to be able to get in there and clean out trash.
Okay.
But the same thing, just a
Same thing, yeah,
6-foot wall or
yes,
something like that?
yes.
Well, it'll be a brick wall,
Be a brick
but it
wall.
will be fortified, concrete,
Yeah.
rebar.
Correct.
So at Hutchins, the wall that y'all build, will it be pretty close to the entry, to the door, or what?
No, it's going to be at the edge of the sidewalk.
Edge of the sidewalk nearest the street?
Well, not the street, but it's like close to the building.
Parking
So
lot
there's,
curb.
yeah, there's
Driveway curb.
Okay.
there's a sidewalk.
About 8 feet from the building.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like, yeah.
It's big enough where that life skills classroom can have like a little garden out there, like
Okay.
raised bedded garden.
That wasn't brick.
little
And that's gonna run, will that run all the way down to where that life skills class is?
It's gonna cover that life skills class.
Just the life skills class, or is it gonna run all the way
Yes,
down to
just-
pickup
no,
It's the
line?
last-
Just
Okay.
covering the
Okay, I
life skills
understand where
class.
it's at.
Yes.
I was thinking Peach
And that'll be
Street.
gated as well on both sides.
It'll be gated on one side.
Okay.
And the reason
Then
it'll
we'll
be,
have a handicap access
Yeah.
out of that gate versus opening
correct,
both ends.
Gotcha.
correct.
They load buses right there,
Mhm.
so they can just have that.
Just-
And we also didn't want, our severe and profound to be in a situation where if they needed to get out, that they wouldn't be able to get out because we blocked them in, so. Okay?
Got a question
Just a couple clarifying questions, if that's all right. So the structures we're talking about for Hutchins and
The middle school?
the middle school, it's functionally a crash barrier, for lack of a better way to put it. Am I
Correct.
understanding it? Okay.
And
Correct.
crash and vision.
Crash and a vision. Yes.
Okay. Cycling all the way back to the safety film from the very beginning.
Mhm.
I know when the board initially approved the proposal, the board approved an expense of $100,000 for the campuses.
Up to.
Up to.
Up to, yes. Do we have a financial impact now that it's almost done?
The total cost is gonna be roughly about $47,000.
But remember, there's more film to come, because the foyer at the high school will also require.
Yes.
So when we get a final impact, we will present that to the board.
Correct. Good? All right. So the next thing I was charged with was doing some more research on the Guardian program. So I reached out to Strategos International. Strategos International, I spoke to the vice president of it. His name's Mark. We talked about startup cost. We talked about the psychological and what goes with it. And, you know, my main concern was everybody's going to want to know the economic impact, and everybody's going to know how is it and what is it. And his main concern was wanting us to know if our stance is for it to be a defensive posture. If it's a defensive posture, we are not asking our teachers to be policemen. We're not asking our teachers to go ripping around and chase down bad guys. So the defensive posture of the Guardian program that we discussed creates, there's a lot that goes into it. So they train you on how to barricade rooms. They train you on how to find a place to be able to attack the intruder. So they show you where to put the kids and where you actually, as the adult or the guardian in the room, and how you should actually stage yourself in the room to create a defensive posture. In the event that an intruder were to be able to get to your barricade, they actually even have it set up to where they have places where when you come in, they know exactly where to shoot in the barricade to be able to stop the intruder. But it is a defensive posture. The cost that's actually associated with it, it is a 5-day course. It's not something that you basically just, we say, hey, we're gonna start doing this, and so it's a 5-day course. So the big thing with the course is, there is, he asked that, districts supply at least about 1,000 rounds of ammo, because there's gonna actually be a lot of shooting taking place. But there's an educational piece, there's a physical piece, because they also teach you the physicality of how you need to handle an intruder in the event that you need to fight. In the event that you're in a situation where you're actually, faced, with that intruder, what you need to do. But we talked mainly about the defensive posture. There is a cost of about, it is $995 per guardian. He said in the event that you get 10 guardians or more, they do work with the price on that. It can be, he said they'll definitely work with you on price. He also said that any time that we're willing to discuss this more in detail, he'd like to come to town, visit with the decision makers, and talk to us about the Guardian program in its entirety. We talked about different scenarios because it's different in every single school district. Some school districts, he told me there's school districts in the state of Texas that basically said that they're doing a Guardian program and they got guns and they gave them to teachers, And then he said, then you have.
All of them.
Huh?
All the teachers.
Oh,
Yeah, there are
Yes. Yes.
districts.
Yes, and so he was telling me that there are districts that have gone that route.
Iran was out in West Texas was like one of the first ones they had, and they took them out to the firing range, and one of them shot themselves in the rear end, and that was like the end of the Guardian program.
So
Need a little more training than that.
So he said the big piece for the district is ensuring that you have the psychological and ensuring that we know our people better than anybody. And we know the ins and outs of our people. And if there's somebody that we do not believe that should be even taking the psychological, that should be, even going to try to be a guardian, then it's up to us to ensure that we don't put them in that situation. But he had several things to say, and I left it at that, and I told him that I was gonna briefly, inform you guys tonight of our continued research of the Guardian program, and just to let you guys know about any of that. You guys have any?
Well, before the board asks any questions, I do want to reiterate that the Guardian program will go back to the safety committee prior to coming to the 7 of you.
So, next step with the Guardian program would be for possibly Strategos International to come visit with the safety
Committee.
Correct.
I think we need to go ahead and schedule that.
We know that,
Yeah, no.
we're in the process. I just want the board to recognize that and remember, on the safety committee is the chief of police, the sheriff, 2 board members, Mr. DeBrock and Mr. Russell.
Emergency service.
A whole bunch of emergency
Fire
folks. So, you know, we want to make sure that we are able to provide you with.
All the emergency personnel and law enforcement in the county, they have been tremendous help on the safety committee. I can't say enough about it.
So, and we'll set that up, and we'll get the ball rolling, and like I said, Mark said, you know, now I will tell you this, that's another one of those things that's getting real busy. You know, it's not, it's one of those things that we'll have to.
Great demand right now, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a lot of people researching it.
Board have any questions?
We're on the right track.
Yeah.
Just some clarifications about the conversations, Strategos.
Will, can you wait till after the meeting and be able to clarify with him, because we probably shouldn't.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we want you to ask what you want to ask, but we kind of got
Yep.
to. So that'll take us to.
C1.
C1, District and Campus Accountability Ratings.
Yeah.
But it's, when you really get in those cohort groups and compare to, you know, districts like us, it is when it really breaks down. This, I don't know how you could be displeased with what the results were. This accountability rating looks great. A lot of hard work.
It does. It's been a hard work. Kudos to all of these principals sitting here today. And I was hoping the middle school teachers would stay, because I'm so proud of what they've accomplished. And just coming off of COVID and everything, I feel like our school district fared very well.
The state comparison is a huge deal, because I've been around here a long time, and there's been many years that we were nowhere near the state average.
I mean, we're just like right within
Right.
5 percentage points on every one of those as
So,
the district.
Huge kudos on that.
Yep.
Good job.
Yes.
Keep it up.
Thank you, Ms. Martin, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we have
C2.
C2, which is Mr. Fleener is going to give us a brief introduction to a potential high school class rank policy change. This would impact the incoming freshmen of 2023-2024. So the present 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders will continue with our present practice, but there's been conversation about how to make this, the process for class rank, the most fair. And just so everybody's aware, class rank and GPA, grade point average, are 2 different calculations. Grade point average counts every class, and class rank, the district can decide how they're going to rank their students as compared to one another. So that's what Mr. Fleener is going to talk about today.
And this kind of came out of some parents' misconceptions and kind of talking with the district administration when we look at some options with that. And if you have a copy of the IC local, I think, I kind of went based on that.
It's on your desk, right?
Okay.
And I kind of went with that, and if you look under calculation, you know, we can look at adding.
Hold on just a second.
Uh-huh.
I have,
Pardon?
did you,
Is this it?
Here's, Vicki, I have some. Do you think you have enough?
Yes, she does.
We both made copies.
We both made copies.
Tell me to move if I start standing.
Thanks.
Stand up.
There you go.
Anyway, so I kind of went based on what the policy says currently right now. And there were a couple of things I think we needed to add in there, and I'll actually start from the back. If you look on page 3, because we, in most districts, want that as well, you want your Val and your Sal to be having completed the foundation program with distinguished achievement. And so that wasn't actually in policy. I think we probably need to put that in there so that we are sure that that's how we are operating as well. The only other thing was in the adding on ramps. It's been taught at the high school before. If we do go and teach it again, we don't have to come back and add it into that policy and stuff too. But looking at how we're going to calculate class rank, and there are several different ways to do it. We can just count the core, the math, the science, the social studies, and the English courses. Count that. Or we can start to exclude courses that we don't want. Right now, currently, everything counts. And so if we want to get either a truer representation of things, then you can look at that. And I think any of them actually work. What we don't want, and I'll just be honest with you, right? We got certain parents that are trying to play the GPA game. And I think it's causing the kids stress. And I know it's causing other people stress as well. And I don't think that's what we want. I don't want any of our students stressed because they feel like there's those family expectations that they've got to perform at that. Really, the only thing that matters is the Val and the Sal. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're all going to be in the top 10%. They get the auto admission into any college or university, state university in the state of Texas. So, but I know that's kind of what the board would want. But I think that's what y'all kind of need to discuss and look at in regard to this.
This is a presentation, so you do have the option to ask questions. So based on this page 1 of 3, you can see that in red would be the additions. And so only courses in the paragraph 2, only courses in the content areas of math, science, English, and social studies will be calculated for ranking purposes. This is so you can compare all students as an apple to an apple. Because if you look up above, or down below in paragraph 3, some people are in athletics, some people are in PE or sports medicine, or some are in fine arts, or some are in CTE courses, or whatever. So right now, those are all calculated in your class rank. And so...
And that's not, if you choose that second option, that's not a definitive list by any means.
Right.
I went based on what I had seen at a different district.
But if they take the summer school to get ahead or something, like government or something, that's not...
So what you don't want is someone trying to game the system, right? And I've seen schools that would allow anyone to go take as many dual credit courses as they want to through the local community college and this and that. They'd put them on the transcript, and they also would allow that to then be calculated with the weighted GPA for class rank. And so really that's not quite equitable, because now if I don't have the means to provide that opportunity to my child, but you have the means to provide that opportunity to your child, that's not equitable, right? And that's not a fair comparison with that. So if we take just those courses that they have periods 1 through 8 in the 4 years they're at high school, then that's going to give that comparison. So you still get the opportunity to take dual credit. You get the opportunity to take an AP course. All of these weighted are an on-ramps course. And that's what would be in there too, right? Summer school is not the same. You don't have the same length of time. You don't have the same number of minutes. You don't go to the same depth or rigor that you would in a regular class as well.
So we're
I would say yes, we exclude the summer classes. Yes, sir.
This is not the first time the board has taken this up. A few years ago, we did the same thing, and at that time, I think some of us were on there, but what the board wanted at that time, and I don't think my sentiment has changed, is we want to eliminate the games. We just want it to be a clear and defined. This is what's going to determine class rank. I love the suggestion that the Val and Sal would have to be on the foundation graduation plan with distinguished achievement. I'm not sure why we wouldn't expand that to all the honor graduates. That would be the measure, that would be the tool. I mean, y'all could advise on that better than I. But I like the idea that it's your core curriculum classes. It's English 1, 2, 3, 4, Math 1, 2, 3, 4, Science 1, 2, 3, 4, Social Studies 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would be your measuring stick for determining class rank. And then everything else would count, all classes would count into your overall GPA, right? Is that how I'm understanding it?
But not class rank.
Right.
What's the thought on only 2 credits from the virtual school network into New York Tech? What's the rationale there?
So that's kind of been the procedure as it's been explained to me at the high school in the past. But that also prevents someone from kind of gaming that system, right? So even if I want to take, I'm not in anything extracurricular wise, but after I get done with El Campo High School, I want to go over to Wharton Junior College and I'm going to take something, or I'm going to get online and take something. And then if we don't have something necessarily excluding some of those type of things, then we could demand that it's calculated in our GPA.
Yes, no, yes, agree. But why do we say we want to say that you can do 2 of those? I was kind of thinking of it the other way.
Well, and I'm fine with that. I just kind of put what the procedure had been before.
So what we did is, you can only use 2 towards your GPA. You could have as many as you want. But the reason it was done was because it used to be like they would pass on their electives just to take like either the Texas Tech class or they would take just for the way.
But they still would be able to do that for 2 of them.
For 2 of them, you can do it for only.
But your denominator would be,
Your everybody's denominator will be the same.
you wouldn't be eliminating a class. It would be, hey, you're gonna get 4 English scores, you're gonna get 4 math scores, you're gonna get 4 social studies scores, 4 sciences, right?
Correct.
And that's it. And
If
it's your
that- if
first,
that's- yeah.
and it's your first 4 that
Well,
you
potentially,
get, or how do you-
Potentially, you could have more than 4 science scores.
You could.
And you could take them all through the course at the high school. So you could take biology as a freshman, then you could take chemistry as a sophomore and physics as a junior, and then your senior year, you might be able to take anatomy and physiology and AP chemistry. Or you could take chemistry and physics as a junior and then AP chemistry and physics as a senior.
And that makes sense to me, because that encourages rigor.
Correct.
What we don't want to do is discourage rigor. I think that that anything that is, hey, we want to reduce the denominator of classes that you're dividing your GPA against. That just doesn't make any sense, and it's counter to everything that this
I
district.
think we're saying the
is
same
trying
thing,
to-
but this is saying that if we allow 2 of them, I don't see anything that says those 2 couldn't be in addition to.
Well, I think.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It wasn't written that way.
Yeah,
But you can write it that way, or you can write it to exclude that, and it just has to be those there at El Campo High School. I think it also behooves us to start to recruit staff that can teach the dual credit at the high school.
That's what we're saying. I think what the question is are they going to be a live adult teaching it, or are they gonna be online?
Right.
So I think what I'm hearing from Mr. Wells and Mr. Fleener is they're trying to reduce the amount of opportunity to sit in front of a computer.
Right.
Right, go ahead, finish.
No, that was it.
So why, I guess, I understand Mr. McBrock's question now, is that why would, if we're offering, if El Campo High School is offering the necessary courses that we just discussed, I mean, why do we need to allow, is there an advantage to our students to get to Texas Virtual School Network, UT High School, or Texas Tech High School? Is there an advantage academically? Not having to do, I'm talking about, is that better rigor than what we offer?
not
Honestly.
bigger, but let me say this before you answer that. The opportunity there, and I'm thinking maybe I'm trying to figure out why you left that in there without you having to tell me. It's like a puzzle.
Let me know if you figure it out, you can tell me.
But it gives us opportunity if we do have a course that isn't gonna make, and we're not gonna have an actual teacher there to teach that course. We may offer something from one of these people, one of these organizations to all of our kids. Like everyone could take it, and if we did that, we would want that to count.
Correct.
If everyone had opportunity to take it. What we don't want is for someone to be able to just game it and go, you know,
Right, while
take
the
it
rest
for
of his
whatever.
peers are
So-
taking.
So I could see where that would be in there, and I think that the college courses not offered by the district will not be calculated, so that would only be, and that, we would say we're using this, we're gonna use Texas Virtual Network to teach Physics 2 this year.
Correct.
Okay.
Could we add some verbiage in there that would?
Oh, yeah, most
do-
definitely. I
that would
mean, so you,
accomplish what-
so you could also, I mean, you could take that whole thing out about them using, you know, up to 2 classes to be counted in there. Because if we do, because it does have, if we're teaching the class at El Campo High School, and that's the way we're teaching it, then that's gonna be the way it goes in. If we're doing AP Physics through the Texas Virtual School Network through A-Leaf ISD. If we're teaching it that way, then everyone that goes in there and takes it is going to take it in that regard, right?
Right.
And so,
Yeah, I like that, I see that.
yeah. So, I mean, you could take that part of that out of there, and just kinda, yeah, I mean, and just say that the courses, the advanced academic courses have to be offered by El Campo High School. Right? Through
And
the,
then
you
you
know,
don't have to identify what it's gonna be for tech or
Yeah.
It would- Yes, I'm following. That, I think that was the initial reason for trying to put it in there, but I think what everyone is trying to do is compare an apple to an apple, so
Right.
that everybody has the same opportunity. So let's say we are gonna offer Physics 2, and for some reason, only 8 people sign up, and maybe your physics teacher becomes ill, and they're not all of a sudden gonna teach it. So now we're going to offer it through the Texas Virtual School Network. We want that to count,
Right.
because those kids are trying to take rigor,
Right,
Absolutely.
got it. Agreed.
And they're all doing it.
and they're all doing it.
and they all signed up for it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we had 6 students that signed up to take Czech this year. Well, that class didn't make, right? But if we ended up, you know, moving down the line, we'd have a way to do it, and we can look at something or pursue something like that. I mean, the whole idea is, and I kind of spoke about this to Mr. Russell earlier, as a parent, I'd rather have my kids try and do things in high school for free before they get to college and they go into 2 years and say, hey, Dad, you know, I was majoring in accounting and I have all these accounting hours. I don't want to do that anymore. So now I got to stay in college an extra year and a half, right? So, you know,
Ulterior motive.
right, you know, because that saves us money as parents, right? So,
Are you talking about Jack Callahan?
no, it was actually Paul Fleener, but you know, that's the thing too, so. Anyway. But yeah, we can make any changes y'all want, just kind of let us know. We can go.
Yeah, we're not done with this. We wanted to bring it to you for the first reading type of situation. And we'll bring it back again as we go, because it will require a change in policy, so it's not gonna happen overnight.
And the last thing was kind of, that we've been talking about is looking at kind of ALP as well. And some of the things I've been looking at and trying to talk about there too. I've never come across a situation where we've had an alternative campus like that where the kids participate in the May graduation. And so that was one of the changes I kind of brought up in talking with Mr. Callahan. He thought we should bring it here as well. Because those have generally always been somewhat of a separate campus. They serve a great purpose, and ALP has been running very, very well. I think they graduated close to 60 students last year, and that's a great thing. But it also then becomes some of the PEMS accounting and reporting problems when we have to carry them and don't graduate them. And so we've talked about different ways we could run it per semester. I've done it in the past where we've done it
monthly almost, you know, when we get a number of graduates. So that's, I guess, I'd like to know your all's thoughts about that if we, you know, going that way.
I'll go first.
Thank you, sir.
When we started that deal, I wanted, as the principal, to make it be its own separate campus, but it wasn't gonna go at the time. But I think that it probably could now.
In every district that I've looked at since I've been on the board, it's a tremendous advantage to have
It
it
is.
function as its own separate campus.
Yeah.
And I'm maybe,
And I'll be honest, right? I think right now, the way it's structured, I think that works well, right? I think administratively, the way it is structured, I do think as a principal, whether it or not, I think it works well. But I think as we start to look at that, and it does a great job for dropout prevention. So you saw the points that the district got with that, right? And so I think it's doing that job and helping with that. But it's just kind of looking at those, and those are the things that I think the parents and the students need to know up front, and we can kind of have them commit to and stuff as well.
questions on that?
Back to this,
Yes, ma'am.
did I hear you say that it would, when policy, if and when it's changed, it will affect incoming ninth graders next year? Is that correct?
You could
Or will
give
we-
it to the ninth grade class this year as well, I believe. But I think that's something we would definitely check with the lawyers as well to make sure that we, you know, and have them review the policy before we ever bring anything to you. But if we looked at the incoming freshmen, they don't have the opportunity to take anything other than an advanced class that has the 5 points with it. And so they're not going to. One of the things we've talked about there too in regard to freshmen is we have a lot of freshmen, because they get their class rank at the end of May, they start to fret and worry about things. Things haven't, I go back to when we had kids virtual and stuff too. There were kids that ended up being in the top 10. By the time that class graduates, they won't be anywhere near that. But because of the way school was in 1920 and 2021, that's where they are. If we're looking at trying to do what's best for kids and maybe decrease their anxiety, maybe the procedure we do is we don't release their class rank till after the fall semester for those sophomores, right? Things have settled a little bit more and things like that. So I don't know if we want to necessarily put that in policy. We may just start operating on that. Those are the things.
I don't think that would have to be policy.
Yeah.
Does not.
That's a good idea.
And I would like to know what it would take for us to establish an alternative school as its own campus.
On campus. I can reach out to a few people. I think with that then, it then also goes into that alternative accountability rating, and that is a different animal too, and I'm not sure I understand all of it right now, to be honest with you.
Tana does.
I think it's
Good.
okay.
I'm still working on the
Makes
one
me
that's got
nervous.
numbers.
Big numbers you have
to
pay
Yeah.
attention to.
There's a ton of high schools, or a ton of districts around that we're very familiar with that have a completely alternative campus.
One lives right across the street from me,
Mhm.
so I can reach out to him, see what he knows.
Thank you all very much for,
Thank you.
thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
And Ms. Smith, thank you for being here to hear all of that. So now we moved on to item 6, was discussion and action items. And so item 6A, 1 and 2 really have to do with a high school cosmetology program. 6A1 has to deal with Walsh Gallegos, which is our attorney, also represents Palacios. So 6A1 has to do with the fact that because they're dealing with both sides, they have to get your permission to be able to do that. So that would be your item number 6A1, that you would have to approve that before we can even move into item 6.
It's because we have an agreement with Palacios ISD concerning our cosmetology program. That's the sole reason we have to
Yes.
do this. So it's basically a formality, unless somebody has a real objection to this. I'll seek a motion to take action to approve consent for multiple representation by Wasca, English, Trevino, Kyle, Robinson, PC, in the matter of an agreement with the ECISD and Pelagius ISD concerning student enrollment in the El Campo ISD cosmetology program.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Dubrow, a second by Mr. Hobbs. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Irwin absent. Item 2, consider and take possible action to approve negotiations and execution of an agreement with El Campo ISD and Pelagius ISD concerning student enrollment in the El Campo ISD cosmetology program. So this is the actual okay in the agreement for that. So I have a motion by Mr. Dortick, second by Mr. Vallejo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign.
How many students is that?
4.
4 kids.
Carries unanimously with Mr. Irwin absent. Approval of final operating budget. That takes us to B1.
That's Mr. Bright.
Okay, first thing I want to do is commend my staff, specifically Joyce Supak, and the hard work she's put into putting this together. She does this every year for us. She completed the work this morning at about 10 o'clock, so.
Can I say something about that, David, before you? I gotta tell you, I told Joyce, and I was kidding with her, but folks, we need to get her a bed and a kitchen and all that right up here, because she has been burning the midnight oil, and I think all of you need to know that she has been up here nonstop for several days. I came by the office 4 times this weekend, and every time I came by, she was here. I just want y'all to know the amount of time and effort that she's put in supporting David and what he's done with this budget. And
She doesn't just work hard, she's really good at what she does.
exactly. Thanks, Mr. Brock. I think that it needs to be publicly recognized, the great effort that is coming out of that department. So, sorry, David, I couldn't pass that up.
I appreciate that. Okay, on the first page, you see there the original approved budget, dollar amount for revenue, and the amended amount. That has changed, that has gone up by $517,000. Expenditures, you can also see the original approved, the amended budget, and that has increased by 1.1 million. You turn to page 2, we'll go into greater detail on the revenue. As you know, the board approves 3 funds every year, your general fund, food service, and debt service. The column to your left is the original budget totals for each one of those funds. And the middle column is the amended budget. As you can see there, we show excess tax proceeds. We had E-rate money. We don't always get E-rate money. We had additional interest and tuition money. And then a lot of smaller items that increased our local budget by $237,000. On the state revenue, at this time last year, what we had was, we had a template. I had a template at the time that the board approved the budget, and it automatically plugged in an ADA of 3277. And I'm talking about Omar's template. Based on that ADA, we calculated that our state revenue would be a little over, almost 22 million. As you can see there, we only received 20,759,000. Main reason for that, also on that template, and I don't know if you recall this or not, but a portion of the ADA is actually 108 students in ADA. They required our district to decrease our payment by that amount, and it was 108 students times $7,000, $7,715, came out to $835,000 in the calculation. that money, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but at that time, we reported to you that that money would be offset with ESSER two money, the additional money that we were getting from the state. And that has happened. We've actually gotten a lot more than that. We've gotten almost $3 million in ESSER two. Is that correct?
Correct.
As you can see on the federal and general fund, we have received additional SHARS Medicaid money, and we're just earning more than we had budgeted. Last few years, we have always budgeted that $359,000, and this past year we received $483,000. Any questions concerning the general fund? Okay, food service. First line item there is local monies that we bring in for school lunches. Those were down because of COVID. State money was approximately what we had budgeted. Not much change there. The federal reimbursement, we received almost $500,000 more this year. When COVID first started, the reimbursement rate, everybody was put on free lunches and breakfast. And the reimbursement rate per meal was at the regular rate. Well, this past year, they put us on the summer school reimbursement rate, which was approximately 30 cents more in per meal. So that's the reason for that. You can see the numbers there for the debt service, local taxes came in about as expected. We did receive EDA, existing debt allotment money from the state. We don't always get that, but we did this year. And then, if you'll recall, we passed TRE a few years ago, and we moved a portion of our debt to be paid out of surplus funds from our general fund balance. Okay. On page 3. This is the detailed information on our expenditures. At the top of the page, we have the 3 funds, the approved expenditure amounts, and then in the middle column, the amended amount. You can see there on the general fund where we have increased that by 1.1 million. In the middle of the page there, you can see the approved dollar amounts for each function in the general fund, the amended amount for each function. We'll talk about a few of those. In instruction, we've decreased that budget by $950,000. We have money left, approximately $650,000 in salaries, payroll. That is a result of not filling positions that we felt like that we could do without. And also, each year we also have $150,000 in a line item. We call it a surplus that we use in case we need to hire someone. Naturally, if we were able to decrease some of these, or not decrease positions, but do without some of the positions, then we didn't use that money. We also had residential placement money, software licenses that were either not used or we were able to get it at a better price. You can see in function 12, 13, 21, 23, we were able to lower or decrease the budget amount by those dollar amounts. And there's a reason out there to the right for each one of those. And student transportation, we decreased that budget by $110,000. We paid our auto liability insurance ESSER funds, $70,000. We also had less money used for bus repairs. In plant maintenance, the next large one there, we paid for the McLemore custodial services, $880,000 with ESSER funds. We also paid for our property insurance, with ESSER. The bottom of the page, facilities, function 81. $538,000 was spent on the weight room parking lot, $457,000. High school renovations, $1.7 million. It's approximately $2.6 million. But we only had to increase our budget by the 2.3 because there was some other sources of funds. Shared services went up by $220,000. We needed more money due to aligning our fiscal year for our shared services, our co-op, with our regular school year, which added 2 additional months. Any questions on this page? Okay, the last page, each year I give you some information about our fund balance. What we do is we take our amended expenditures, and we also include a dollar amount that we don't expect to spend that's included in the amended numbers. That number this year is $725,000. We expect to spend $36,869,000. We compare that with our amended revenue. That means that our general fund balance would drop approximately $167,000. Then we take a calculation, that's the calculation of our general operating expenditures. We calculate 20%, which is the goal of the board is to maintain 20% of general operating in our fund balance. And that number is $7.4 million. We take a look at our audited fund balance as of August 31st, 2021. We subtract that at $167,000. That leaves $10,057,000. As you know, we set aside $50,000 each year to replace the turf on the football field. That $300,000 tells me that the last time we replaced it was 6 years ago. So it's $50,000 each year. When you take that out, we still have $9,757,000 fund balance. That's 26%. What I think's most encouraging about all this is you've been able to do all these facility upgrades, approximately $2.7 million, the weight room, the parking lot, and the high school renovations. And that 9.7 is only about $900,000 less than where we were at this time last year.
Right.
So,
Kudos.
Well, in addition, we've done a lot of other upgrades besides those. The campuses all got air conditioning. Hutchins has got some improvements. We continue to do that. We built a new classroom at Northside. I mean, there are a lot of factors of things that have gone on. So we commend the board for their ability to.
One other comment, we don't want to lose, we need to maintain the big picture. There's also the ESSER funds that we spend a lot of what normally would be budgeted in the budget or included in the budget was paid for with ESSER funds, and that a couple of years down the road will go away. So,
Well, the strategies employed by, I mean, y'all are the ones who are making the recommendations and making everything fit into the right category. We were gonna spend probably that same money anyway, but the strategy of where it needed to come from and, hey, we can accomplish this with this, that's kudos to y'all, so good job on that. Anything else that you have to add? Any questions for Mr. Bright? So with that, I'll seek a motion for the approval of ordinance adopting the proposed 2022-2023 general operating budget. Final operating.
Amended budget.
Amended.
This is the 2021.
2021.
I think you skipped
Sorry.
down to the next.
I skipped one, didn't I? Approval of final amendments to the 2021-2022 general operating budget.
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dubrock. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Irwin, absent. Item D2. Can that be acted on without further discussion? I'll seek a motion for approval of ordinance adopting the proposed 2022-2023 general operating budget.
Nothing has changed, from July board meeting, the numbers are the same, and, I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
And board members, you should have this.
It's in,
Yep.
yeah, it's in your packet.
I'll make the motion that do we need, is there any
No.
others? No.
You're good. We have a motion for the approval of ordinance adopting the proposed 22-23 general operating budget by Mr. Dubrock. And a second by Ms. Muhammad. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. The next item of business is the approval of ordinance adopting the 2022 maintenance and operations and interest and sinking tax rate. These have to be acted upon in two separate motions. The the 2022 maintenance and operation tax rate, which was discussed at the July board meeting, and then we had the hearing before this, is 0.9810.
Correct.
So I'll seek a motion to adopt the 2022 maintenance and operation tax rate at that rate. I have a motion by Mr. Vallejo, second by Mr. Dortic.
And that's a decrease of 2.37%.
2.37 cents.
Yes.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And board members, those numbers are on page 7 of your packet.
The second item in this, on this agenda, line item is, we'll need to approve the ordinance setting the 2022 interest and sinking rate at 0.717.
That's correct.
So I will seek a motion for that.
Make that motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Nahavitz,
Second.
second by Mr. Dubrock. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
So for everyone, that is $1.0527
Combined tax rate.
combined tax rate. The previous tax rate was $1.0765. So a decrease of 2.38 cents.
Okay. That takes us to closed session, is that
Closed
right?
session, yes, sir.
All right.
And I know all of you are disappointed, but there will be no action items after closed session.
Aw,
So,
so sad.
you know.
Maybe I'll go watch my Riceburg News.
Don't worry, I can tell you what's all on it.
Okay, Demetri,
I'll tell you.
educate me.
Thank y'all for being here.
The ladybirds wanted